Man, you could pack this game up right now. We don't even need to waste time. You can pack this game up. Derek Carr already sold the game. Derek Carr sold the damn game. Craziness. Just already sold the game. You can't be down in Kansas City against the Chiefs. This game is over. We knew the Chiefs were going to win, but damn. It ended just like that. That's crazy. We didn't even have a shot here, huh? No chance. No chance. It's a wrap. I'm putting this on, by the way. It's a wrap already. That's crazy. Anyway, let me do what I gotta do here, so we can speak on this, because it feels like it's something that needs to be discussed, and we're going to mix it up this time around. You know, normally I would just I'd be doing this as a video, but I feel the need to make a stream about this because a lot has happened this week. I mean, it's crazy how much things got mixed up within the span of 1 week. Excuse me, sorry about that. Wow, I sneezed so hard my glasses fell on. But it's been a crazy mix-up, man. We knew things were gonna shake up in the division. We knew this was gonna happen. The second we got an AFC North matchup, so not exactly surprised by this. But there are some good and some bad, and we gotta talk about that whole bad, because you know, I want to keep this off, but there's no ventilation in here, so it has to stay, which means it's gonna be constantly heard throughout the. All right, whatever. Give me a second, guys. You know how this usually goes. Annoying. And Kareem Hunt starts this off with the touchdown, so that's just perfect. Just perfect. Uh-huh. That's great. Ah, man, this is... I'm gonna keep this on until... Okay, we should be good. And we can get started as the Raiders... Not Raiders, my God. As the Saints proceed to try to even things up. Derek Carr already sold the game, throwing a pick. I don't know why he doesn't throw that ball in the dirt. I'm not gonna throw it up in the air for it to get picked off, but you know, whatever. It's just Derek Carr doing dumb things for no reason. The Saints first 2 weeks, oh yeah, Saints football, let's go. Derek Carr and this Saints team, they're a monster. They put points on the board, yeah, because it's the first 2 weeks of the season. And then what happens? The league adjusts. First 2 weeks, you look like the best team in football. Last 2 weeks, you look like one of the worst. And now you're just sitting here looking confused. Whatever. Anyway, let's get started. Sorry for taking too long. Is this another pick? And nope, he just doesn't even hit him. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. This is a very, very interesting AFC. Actually, this is a very interesting week for the AFC North. This is the Week 5 State of the AFC North address. Usually, I make this in video, but this was a very special week. It was a crazy week, and so much happened that I felt the need to discuss it. So we'll go game by game. Normally, we would have 4 games to talk about, but we only have 3 games to discuss. And it's very interesting because it's so much that needs to be discussed and talked about. They just went through it now. Man, let me turn... You're getting muted. Saints are cooked. Anyway, there's so much that needs to be discussed here involving the AFC North for all four teams, how things are looking moving forward. A lot needs to be discussed, and yeah, so much happened, so much happened this past week that it feels like we just gotta talk about it. Week 5 was one of the craziest weeks we've had in quite some time because there was a lot of crazy games that came down to the wire. But there was a few situations where things weren't going well. So I think the best way we could start this off is we'll start off with the team that's not looking so good, and honestly, there's like little to no hope based off of what we've seen right now. So to start off this address, I think we have to talk about. We got to talk about the Cleveland Browns. I think that's the best place to start off with. So, week 5. How did week 5 fare for the Cleveland Browns? Honestly, this was probably the worst week they've had all season. Now, granted, the Cleveland Browns were already losing football games. They had lost to the Cowboys. They somehow lost to the Giants. And, they suffered a very somewhat humiliating loss last week to the Raiders. So, sitting at 1-3 with your season on the line, something had to happen. You felt somebody needed to step up. The team as a whole needed to step up, and they needed to play well because your season's on the line here. And what did Cleveland do? Ooh, let's get into that. So, the Cleveland Browns traveled down to Landover, Maryland, down here at the DMV to take on the Washington Commanders, who are currently first place in the NFC East. This is the type of game the Cleveland Browns need to try to get back on track. Cincinnati went toe-to-toe with this team and lost. So Cleveland, you're going up against that same team. If you could beat them, you at least feel like, okay, we're getting back on track. We're 2-3, and this is a team Cincy couldn't beat. So we've got a good shot to beat them. You at least try to build up that level of confidence for the most part, because building up that confidence is something you need if you're the Browns right now. Things aren't looking so good. So this is a game you want to get if you're the Cleveland Browns. To be honest, this game got out of hand so fast. The first half was absolutely humiliating. Cleveland was cooked before anything could happen. They were down 24-3 heading into halftime. Nothing really changed in the second half. They didn't really do much of anything. Maybe you got a garbage time touchdown, but the game was basically over before you saw it. This Browns team is at an all-time low. I cannot explain to you what happened to the Browns team as a whole, because this game, there was no explanation for this. This was embarrassing. I'm looking at Derek Carr just pissing me off on the screen right now. But Deshaun Watson in this game. Another disappointing performance. And again, it's a disappointing performance where a good chunk of it is on him, but at the same time, he's not the only issue. However, his play was so poor, you really couldn't ignore it. You can't put all the blame on him, but he did not play well. And if you look at how he's played for much of the season, he's played poor. So it's been that type of season. Deshaun Watson in this game, 15-28, 125-yard passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, passer rating of 77. I believe he fumbled the ball too. Yes, he did. He fumbled the ball once, so he did turn the ball over. He had a passer rating of 77 and a QBR of 8. That's the second lowest QBR he's had this season. He was somehow worse from a QBR perspective against the Cowboys. So Deshaun Watson played an incredibly poor football game. He did. I don't know what you do right now. I really don't know what you do if you're Cleveland. On one hand, Deshaun Watson was terrible. But if you go back and look at this game, I don't know what you do, man. Throughout the season, they've had Jerry Jeudy here. Throughout the season, he hasn't been a factor for them. Amari Cooper has been their best receiver, obviously, but he's had his moments, and he's dropped a lot of passes this season. In this game, Amari Cooper, 4 catches, 60 yards. That was the highlight of any receiver. Everybody else was around 25 yards or below. It just wasn't a great night. You were able to run the ball for 104 yards total, but again, for much of this game, the running game wasn't getting going. Ford had 47 rushing yards. Foreman had 44. Deshaun had a couple rushes for 14 yards. There's just not much here. Offensively, they just couldn't get anything going against Washington's defense. And Washington doesn't have a great defense. From a statistical standpoint, Washington does not have a great defense. They have not been a great defense so far this season. So from a statistical standpoint, you would assume the offense would be able to do something going up against this Commanders defense. But they got shut out in every possible way. They couldn't consistently move the ball down the field. Deshaun Watson was missing throws at times, and at other times guys were dropping passes. The play calling was very skeptical, very confusing at times in terms of what they were trying to run. There was nothing really great here for the most part. I cannot lie to you. There was nothing really great here. This is one of those moments where you feel like you got to burn the film because you did nothing well offensively. The game was over by halftime, and everybody knew it. The game was over by halftime, and everybody knew it. It was that type of scenario. It was so extremely poor offensively. To make matters worse, defensively, they couldn't do anything. Defensively, they couldn't do anything. Now, Jaden Daniels didn't have the greatest of games, but again, he's a rookie. You excuse that, and at the end of the day, he's still leading a great offense. What we need to speak on is Jaden Daniels being another one of those dual-threat quarterbacks that puts so much pressure on your defense that it massively improves a lot of other aspects. In this game, Jaden Daniels was 14 of 25, 238 pass yards, a touchdown, an interception, a passer rating of 85, a QBR of 75. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. The interception, you live with that. He's a rookie. And in terms of his completion percentage, one of those weeks where he wasn't the cleanest throwing the football, but he did play well, including that bomb, that amazing bomb down the field to Terry McLaurin. The connection between Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin is starting to heat up, and you gotta love it. Terry had 4 catches, 112 yards. He did his thing. De'Ami Brown getting on the board with a touchdown. He caught that 41-yarder from Jaden Daniels. I love what I'm seeing from the Commanders. I can't give enough praise to what I'm watching. I'm watching these guys do this live, and I'm just so impressed by how the Commanders are playing this year, man. They're not afraid. This is a fearless football team that's not afraid. If they're gonna lose, they're gonna lose. They're gonna go out swinging. If they're gonna lose a football game this year, which they have, they're gonna go out swinging. Of course, there will be questions about the Commanders, which I'll have to talk about because next week the Ravens do take on the Commanders, which we'll have that preview video when we have it. But yeah, the Commanders right now, they're playing some good football. But in terms of Cleveland, defensively, you're supposed to be one of the best defenses in football. You were one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in football last season. And yet you walk into Washington, you walk into the nation's capital, take on the Commanders, and your defense can't stop a nosebleed. The Commanders rushed for 215 yards. You had 82 yards from Jaden Daniels, 67 from Eckler. McNichols got in with 14. And Brian Robinson didn't really run the ball that much because they weren't utilizing him. But Robinson got in for 2 rushing touchdowns, and McNichols had 1. So they essentially were able to run the football all over the Browns. Browns couldn't stop the run. They really didn't do much to stop the pass. I mean, the Commanders did whatever they wanted to do. They moved the ball at will against the Browns defense, which is not something you expected to say because the Browns defense was one of the best in football last year. The team as a whole is collapsing. Deshaun Watson's playing bad. The receivers at times aren't getting open, and when they are getting open, they're dropping passes. The play calling has been confusing and frustrating. The defense can't stop a nosebleed, whether in the run or the pass. Stefanski, he hasn't been the best. He's been poor coaching. It's been a lot of bad things happening in Cleveland. And now that you sit at 1-4, the season feels like it's over. Deshaun Watson has not played well this season. He is not. He's had some moments, but he's not playing well. He's not playing well. If we take a look at the season Deshaun Watson's having right now, Deshaun Watson has thrown for 852 yards. He has 5 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He has a QBR of 21, which is 31st in the league. He has a passer rating this season of 74.8. He is playing poor. He's completing barely over 60%. 60.2% of his passes have been completed this year. This is unacceptable. For a guy that you gave $250 million guaranteed, this type of play is unacceptable. This type of play is unacceptable. To make matters worse for Cleveland, they can't do anything about it. People could sit back and say, bench him, bring in Jameis Winston and let Winston be the starter. Can you do that? Can you really sit down your $250 million quarterback to bring in Jameis Winston? I don't know. Stefanski talked about this in his press conference and said they're not changing quarterbacks. I don't think that's a Stefanski decision. I think that's an owner decision. You paid this man $250 million guaranteed. He has to play. Whether he's good or bad, he has to play. So now Cleveland's stuck in a spot where their quarterback is playing poorly. There's nothing they can really do about it other than to try to play better. Defense is looking bad. Offense is not being able. They're not executing at a high level. They're not able to get anything done. They're suffering. They're not really doing much in the pass or run game. It's difficult for them to be able to get anything going down the field. It's tough. There's nothing Cleveland can do. There's nothing Cleveland can do. There's nothing Cleveland can do. They're stuck in this. And at 1-4, the season really does feel done. Now, in some magical world, maybe they can get this together. Maybe they can get this together. But with the way they've looked through 5 games of football this year, I don't know where you could look at this and say Cleveland can get it together. I don't know. And moving forward, Cleveland does have a tough schedule. They've yet to face a divisional rival. They've got the Eagles up next. And when you look at their schedule moving forward, they've got some difficult guys to deal with. I mean, they've still got to play the Ravens twice. They get the Ravens, the Bengals twice, the Steelers twice. But they've still got to deal with the Chargers. They still got to deal with Kansas City. What are they going to do against the Chiefs? This is not an easy schedule for Cleveland. And with the way they've played, they could be sitting on a 4 or 5 win season as a whole, and that would be a complete nightmare for them. I don't know what you do if you're Cleveland. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Cleveland takes an embarrassing loss to the Commanders. They fall to 1-4. They got the Eagles up next, and nothing seems to be going well in Cleveland. That's pretty much what you've got in this situation. Next up, we're going to actually move forward to Sunday Night Football, because this is a matchup I want to talk about here, and I want to save the final matchup for last. So, we had the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys pulled up to Pittsburgh to play a nice little game of football with the Steelers. Steelers at this point was 3-1 on the season, first place in the AFC North. Things were going good for them. Taking on the Cowboys, you knew it was going to be one of those type of games where it could go down to the wire. Dallas at this point, they're 2-2 at this point. They're trying to keep up with the Washington Commanders that continue to win football games. They're trying to keep up with the Commanders to be in the race for the NFC East. They got to go on the road and win this game against Pittsburgh. How does this go? Oh boy, okay. At the end of the day, the Cowboys got the win, so you should be happy about that. The Steelers lost, so they should be pissed off about that. But the overall outcome of this game is just nothing but frustration. The Cowboys did not play a good game. The Cowboys had ample opportunity to take control of this game. The Cowboys probably should have been up by at least 14 against this Steelers team. But the Cowboys could not get out of their own way. Dak Prescott turned the ball over 3 times in this game. He had 2 interceptions and 1 fumble. He turned the ball over 3 times in this game, and every single one of those turnovers just continued to give opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And for the most part, Steelers really didn't do anything with it, if I'm being honest. They took advantage of one of those, but for the most part, they didn't do much with it. The Cowboys really should have been up big, but because they kept turning the ball over, they could never really capitalize on it, and they kept getting stalled on drives. They had opportunities to put up points, and they just failed to do it time and time and time again. If you're Dallas, you're happy your team won, but you got to feel frustrated by them just leaving points on the board and Dak turning the ball over the way he did. It was very, very poor. Offensively, they didn't look great. Dak, 29 of 42, 352, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, passer rating of 90, QBR of 70. They ran the ball for 109 yards thanks to Dowell that was actually doing a good job, 87 yards rushing for him. But again, they really didn't do much in this game. Offensively, they didn't do much. Defensively, they did a decent job. I think defensively, they did a decent job. I'm not going to be harsh on the Cowboys defense, in all honesty, because they were missing a lot of guys. No Micah Parsons, no DeMarcus Lawrence. You're missing guys in the defense. For them to be able to do anything against the Steelers offense, in terms of making stops, you give credit to that. The defense was banged up. They were missing a lot of guys, but I think the Cowboys defense played relatively well. You would love to see them be a little bit more better in making stops in key third down situations. Not key third down situations, in scoring situations, because they actually did a good job in stopping the Steelers from scoring on third down. But yeah, overall, I'm not really going to be harsh on the defense here. You're missing a lot of guys, and I think they played well enough to win this game, which obviously they were able to. So yeah, the Cowboys offensively didn't play well. The Cowboys defensively, I think they did a good job. As for the Steelers, this is where things become very interesting. Defensively, you couldn't have done a better job than what they did defensively. I'm going to be honest. They forced 3 turnovers. Your defense forced 3 turnovers. Now, again, I'm going to say this. There were times where certain defenders were missing tackles. There were certain times where certain defenders were leaving receivers open. I get that. But the Steelers' defense forced 3 turnovers. They picked off Dak twice and forced him to fumble. What else could you ask from your defense if you're the Steelers? They did a good job. The Cowboys should have been up by multiple scores in this game. But the defense continued to make stops and force turnovers. If the defense didn't play as well as they did, the Steelers would have got blown out. So Pittsburgh's defense did their job. But the offense, oh good Lord, the offense. I don't know what you do here. This is another week where you look at the offense and you gotta say, man, nothing's changed. Different quarterback, but the offense is just so anemic that you can't expect the quarterback to elevate this lack of talent. Justin Fields in this game played about as good as he's played any other week. 15 of 27, 131 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interception, passer rating of 93, QBR of 35. I'm not saying it was the best game of Justin Fields, nor am I saying it was the cleanest game in terms of, efficiency and passing completion percentage. It wasn't. But honestly, Justin Fields did a relatively good job here. It's just, you take a look at how the receiving corps performed, you take a look at the lack of running game that you were getting here, you take a look at how the offensive line performed, and I don't know how you can win with this. Justin Fields didn't cost them this game. Justin Fields tried to do his very best with what he was working with. What can you do with that? What can you actually do with that? Justin Fields didn't play a bad game. Now, could he have been a bit more accurate? Sure. Did they leave plays on the table? Sure. Should they be better executing on third down? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was probably the biggest problem with them. Execution on third down. But overall, it just seems like the lack of talent on this team is just a problem. And there was not much you can really expect from Justin Fields given what he was working with. Najee Harris in this game, 14 carries for 42 yards, was virtually ineffective, not much there. He was also in the passing game, 2 catches for 35 yards. He tried to do something, but there was not much from anybody. Van Jefferson, 3 catches, 26 yards. George Pickens, your best receiver, 3 catches, 26 yards. Hayward, 2 catches, 23 yards. Brett Frymer, the tight end, 3 catches, 22 yards. Both Hayward and Frymer, they both got into the end zone for a touchdown. I like Pat. I think Pat's a good tight end. But they don't really utilize them as much as they should. But yeah, the offense itself is just, oh God. The offense itself is just gross. Play calling at times feels inconsistent. They're not clean enough in some of these moments. Penalties at times was hurting them. The offensive line not doing the best of job to protect Justin Fields. That hurts. Execution on third down really killed them in this game. Execution on third down really killed them in this game. I gotta take a look at it because I know on third downs they weren't the best. Just taking a look at it for the Steelers. Yeah, they're on third down, they were 3 of 12. That was the biggest difference here. Third down execution ultimately cost them. If there's anything you want to look at, the offense wasn't the best. They made mistakes and all. But if there's something you wanted to look at, because I was watching the game and through, they just could not convert on third down. Being 3 of 12 on third down will get you beat on most Sundays. That is unacceptable. So the execution that we saw from the Steelers offense was pitiful. You can't have this. You can't have this. Mix this up with 8 penalties in the game, and you're going to have some problems. 8 penalties, 3 of 12 on third down. That's not good enough. That's not good enough if you're the Steelers. The defense is doing their job, and offensively, you're not helping them out. This was another one of those weeks where you needed the offense to show up, but they couldn't convert on third down, so the Steelers just kept having to punt the football and putting it back on the Steelers defense to go make a stop. And even though they kept making stops, at some point, that was going to break, which leads us to the final drive of the game. Cowboys down 4. They had nothing left. They had to go down the field and score a touchdown. About 5 minutes left in the game, 5 minutes left in the game. Dak takes them down the field on a game-winning drive. They get all the way to the goal line. We're under 2 minutes now. At this point, we might be under a minute when this happens. They're at the goal line. They run the football. The ball gets knocked out. The ball's right there on the ground. The saving play for the Cowboys. Dak turned around, recognized the ball was on the floor, and dived for that football. He saved the game that way. They had 4 downs to get in. First down couldn't get in. Second down couldn't get in. Third down, incomplete. The game came down to one play on fourth down. Came down to one play on fourth down for the game. Dak Prescott didn't blink. They ran a crossing route to Tolbert. Tolbert on 4th and goal. Got it done. Touchdown Cowboys. They take the lead. No time left at this point. 20 seconds left. No timeouts left for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They try to do something at the end of the day, but it was pretty much over. Pittsburgh takes the loss. The receiving corps for the Cowboys was actually pretty well. Tolbert had 87 yards. Ferguson with 70. CeeDee Lamb with 62. Turpin with 50. The receivers were very, very productive for the Cowboys. But it just wasn't resulting in much because they kept turning the ball over. But that final drive, man, give credit to Dak Prescott for that final drive. He didn't have a great game. But at the end of the day, when he needed to show up, when he needed to have it, when he needed to play well, when he needed to score, he scored. He got them down the field on that game-winning drive, scored a touchdown on 4th and goal, and got them the win. So with that loss, with that win for the Cowboys, they go to 3-2, and they're one game behind the Washington Commanders. So they're still there. They are still very much in it for the AFC North. When you take a look at the Cowboys' schedule, up next will be the Lions, then the Niners, the Falcons. It's going to be a while before they have to take on the Commanders. But next week against Detroit, they're going to be at home for this game. But next week against Detroit is going to be a battle. And then they got to take on the Niners at San Francisco. So the Cowboys have 2 very difficult games. This is a win they need to have. And they got it, man. It's going to be very difficult for them. As for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you started the season 3-0. Things were looking great. Now you're sitting here at 3-2 on the season. Things are starting to get interesting here. You won 3 straight games to start off the season, and then you lose back-to-back games. Next week you've got the Raiders, so you feel like it's a game you should be able to win. But the Raiders did beat the Ravens and the Browns. I would not underestimate them. Steelers know they got to have that. They'll look to have that. But, man, at the end of the day, if they blow it against the Raiders, it's going to be very nasty for them if they blow it against the Raiders. That's all I got to say. So Steelers take the L. They fall to 3-2. And moving forward, questions do start to arise because you started off 3-0, but you've lost back-to-back games. And I've already seen people start to ask those questions. With them losing back-to-back games, do they start Russell Wilson? If he's healthy enough, do they give Russell Wilson a try? Me personally, I don't see why you would. Justin Fields has not done anything to lose this job right now. He has not, in terms of how he's played in the game, he has not done anything to make you want to think he should be taken out as a starter. He's turned the ball over twice. Matter of fact, let me pull this up here. Justin Fields on the season. Justin Fields, 961 pass yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, a QBR 48. He has a passer rating this season so far of 97. Justin Fields has played good football. Justin Fields has played good football. He's not done anything that would make me sit back and say, yeah, bring in Russell Wilson. He's not doing anything that would make you think he should deserve to be benched. Now, granted, I don't think Justin Fields has been special, but he's doing what the Steelers are asking of him. They're making sure he's efficient with the football. They're not asking him to do much. He's not trying to, extend the play and make crazy plays happen all the time. He's not. They're not trying to sit there and be like, oh Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go crazy. He's not making those crazy plays that was resulting in turnovers. He's not being risky with the ball. He's taking care of the football. He's not turning it over. He's making smart plays, and he's taking what's given to him. So I don't think, based off of the performance we've seen, I do not believe he should be benched. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Tomlin's call. And if he wants to give Russell Wilson a shot to see what he can do, he's going to give Russell Wilson a shot. But I personally don't believe Russell Wilson should come in as a starter. I think Justin Fields has done enough to show he can still be the starter. Until Justin Fields has an extremely poor game, I'm talking about a game where he turns the ball over multiple times, looks completely inaccurate with the football, he plays like trash. Until you get a game like that, I don't see why Russell Wilson should come in. But that's my personal opinion. Tomlin, at the end of the day, he left that starting quarterback position vacant. Anybody can take it. If he wants to try Russell Wilson next week against the Raiders, he'll try Russell Wilson next week against the Raiders. But it's up to them. The Steelers are going to do whatever they feel is best for them to try to help them win. I think right now Justin Fields deserves to be there, but if they put in Russell Wilson, we'll see what he does next week. But the Steelers are now 3-2. So they have to start looking because the division is getting closer. Which leads us to the final game of discussion here. Give me a second. I got to do something here. All right. Last but not least, we've got the Ravens and the Bengals. Actually, wait, I'm probably going to have to walk upstairs in 3 or 4 minutes to do something. So I might want to wait on that. We got one last game to talk about, but I'm going to wait on that because I don't want to start that and then have to make a stop because I do have to go upstairs to go do something real quick. But yeah, the AFC North is shaking up. So if I guess for the next 4 minutes, let's put some filler in there. The AFC North is shaking up, and things are getting interesting. But I do want to know, I will say in terms of a question that I have, for Steeler fans, how do they feel about how Justin Fields has played? And do you look at this and say, we've got to make a switch because we've lost back-to-back games? Or do you sit back and think, hey, he's played well enough? He's played well enough. Let's just stick with this guy and see what we can get. Taking a look at Justin Fields' stats, you would actually notice right now, he's playing his best football. Through 5 games, he's playing his best football. And he's on pace to put up some really great numbers. He's played 5. If I was to triple his numbers right now, I'm literally doing some math right now because I want to see what he's low-key on pace for. He's averaging 192 yards passing a game. Let's move that for 17 and see how we can go with that. Let's see here. He's got 5 passing touchdowns in 5 games, so I guess he's on the path for. Okay, so Justin Fields so far in these 5 games, he's completing 67% of his passes, nearly 68% of his passes, which would be by far the most efficient he's been. Because in his 3 years in Chicago, it was 58. 60, 61. He's at 67. That's great. 961 passing yards through 5 games would be great. If he was to do that throughout the entire season of football, he'd actually finish with close to 3,000 yards passing, which would also be a career high for him. He has 5 passing touchdowns. At the pace he's going right now, he'll probably be around 17 or 18, which would still match his best in the season. And he only has 1 interception, which with the pace he's going, it would probably match a career low in turnovers for him. So overall, he's still, based through 5 games, this is the best we've ever seen. This is the best we've ever seen from Justin Fields. And if he plays like that through a 17-game season, he's obviously going to finish with career high numbers. Now, with the Steelers, do you decide to move off of this and try to bring in Russell Wilson? No, not bring it. Try to have Russell Wilson take over as a starter? I don't know if that's the choice. But yeah, it really does come down to that. And just like I was saying, I gotta go. I'll be back, guys. But yeah, Steeler fans, Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, what is the answer? All right, let's talk about this last game. If I can find where I put my... There we go. The Chiefs are up 10, and the Saints are trying to do something. Derek Carr, 6 of 10, 42 yards, a pick. That's fantastic. Good job, Derek. Playing bad. But yeah, got what I needed to do out the way. Now let's talk about this. It's time to talk about the final game. It's time to talk about the final game. Oh, touchdown Saints. Okay, well, cool. Shaheed. Down the field, Carr hit Shaheed, and they scored a touchdown. I literally just sat down. 43-yard touchdown. Who got cooked on that one? Ooh, nice. Actually, that was a pretty nice route. Good execution right there. Good play call. The route was executed beautifully. And Carr gave his receiver a chance. All right, touchdown Saints. 10-7 game. Anyway, time to talk about the final game in the AFC North. So, we saw the Browns get embarrassed. We saw the Steelers lose on Sunday Night Football. All that was left is one more game. One more matchup. Sunday, 1 p.m. in Cincinnati, we had the first AFC North battle of the season. We had the Baltimore Ravens head into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Baltimore Ravens heading into this game was 2-2 on the season. They had gotten back into this season. They started off the season 0-2 after losing to the Chiefs and choking a 10-point lead away to the Raiders. They needed to get back into this. They beat the Cowboys in Dallas. They dominated the Bills on Sunday Night Football. They were coming into a game against the Bengals that they knew was going to be a tough game. It was a tough divisional matchup. You knew it was going to be difficult. On the flip side, you had the Cincinnati Bengals, another team that's fighting for their season. They are in a worse position than the Ravens are. They lost week 1 against the Patriots. They lost week 2 against Kansas City. They lost week 3 on primetime Monday Night Football against the Commanders. They beat the Panthers week 4, got their first win of the season. Heading into this game, they were 1-3. This is a tough matchup, a tough game, but it's a game they needed. They want to keep their playoff hopes alive. They want to keep their chances to get to the Super Bowl alive. They needed to prove themselves by getting a win against a tough divisional opponent, one of their main divisional rivals. So what did we have happen on this Sunday afternoon in Cincinnati? Well, you had one of the greatest games we've ever seen. Easily game of the year. This was insane. It was one of those games where at the end of the day, you live with the results. One team had to win, one team had to lose. If your team won, great. If your team lost, it's unfortunate. You gave it your all. It's not your fault. This was one of those games. This game was the equivalent to the Ravens-Browns Monday Night Football game that we saw where they just went at it 47-42. This was that type of game. This game was insane. So you have the Ravens that walk into Cincinnati. And early on, Cincinnati had control of this. Not Cincinnati. Early on, the Ravens had control of this game. They get the ball. Opening drive. Lamar Jackson takes them down the field. They score a touchdown. Touchdown Ravens. Derrick Henry runs it in for a touchdown. Ravens take an early 7-0 lead. Cincinnati's offense comes out there. Opening drive. They get stopped. 3 and out. Got to punt the football. Ravens get the ball back. They don't do anything with it. They move the ball down the field a couple plays, but they don't do nothing with it. They stall. They've got a punt. Cincinnati gets the ball. Cincinnati then moves down the field, scores a touchdown, 7-7 game. Ravens get the football back. They go down the field. 3rd down and 5. Lamar Jackson rolls to his right. He's running away from the pressure. They're getting to him. He sees Rashad Bateman. Fires it to Bateman. Bateman catches it, turns around, runs in for a touchdown. Ravens up 14-7. From that point on, things start getting chaotic here. And all expectations of this game just went out the window. All hell broke loose, basically. So, it's a back and forth affair. Ravens up 14-7. Bengals aren't able to do anything with the football there. It was a situation on 3rd and 1 where Jamar Chase was wide open, but for some reason, Joe Burrow did not throw him the football there because he was looking for a bigger play down the field. And because he took too long, he got sacked. They had to punt the football. Baltimore makes a mistake here. Tylan Wallace makes a crucial mistake on special teams. Instead of fielding the punt, he lets the punt roll. It rolls to the 2-yard line. Ravens have to start at their own 2. So, starting at your own 2, backed up, knowing what the Cincinnati defense is going to look to do, what do the Ravens do? Well, this is one of those moments where Todd Monken has a brain fart and decides, let's just be predictable and hand the ball to Derrick Henry. Now, for this game, you need to understand this. Cincinnati loaded the box. They were playing 7 or 8 guys in the box because they did not want the Ravens to run. They sat back and said, if you're going to air it out today, by all means, air it out. You'll just have to beat our secondary. But we're not going to let you run the ball with Derrick Henry. That's not how we're going to lose this game. We're not letting you run the ball with Derrick Henry. That's what they said. So the box is loaded. 1st and 10 at the 2-yard line. They run this play to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry gets stopped by Sam Hubbard in the end zone. It's a safety. Now it's a 14-9 game. Ravens punt the football back to Cincinnati. Cincinnati doesn't do anything with the football. It gets back to Baltimore. It's about 3 minutes left. Baltimore has a chance to go do something with it, try to score before halftime. Now, since he won the toss, so they deferred, which means they were getting the ball coming out of halftime. Baltimore, 1st down, they tried to move the ball down the field. I think they pick up a 1st down or 2, but then they get in the situation. 1st down, nothing really happened there. 2nd down, they get stumped. For some reason, here comes John and his antics every single week with John Harbaugh. This ain't a Ravens-only video, so I'm not going to get into it with John Harbaugh here. But for some random reason, John Harbaugh called a timeout. The Bengals didn't call a timeout. Harbaugh did. With a 3rd and 10 approaching, 44 seconds left in the game. The clock was winding down from 50. The Bengals weren't calling a timeout. Zach Taylor did not look like he was ready to call a timeout. But John called a timeout. John literally called a timeout, which helped the which helped the Bengals out. He calls a timeout, 3rd and 10. Lamar looks down the field. The pressure's coming quick. He throws the ball down the field. No one's open there, obviously. Incomplete. So now, the Bengals didn't waste any timeouts, and the clock stopped. So guess what? You got to punt the football back. Cincinnati, seeing a clear opportunity, decides to take advantage of this. They stopped being conservative and say, we're going to switch towards being aggressive. We're going to attack this secondary and throw the ball down the field, which is exactly what they did, which leads to a Jamar Chase touchdown just before halftime. So the Ravens for the first half was pretty much in control of this game. And then Jamar Chase gets open downfield. Joe Burrow hits him in stride perfectly. Touchdown Bengals. They take a 1-point lead. They go for 2 and make it a 17-14 game coming out of halftime. The absolute worst possible scenario for the Ravens. You're down by 3 heading into halftime. Cincinnati gets the football back coming out of half, and like I said, they recognized that the defense wasn't doing a good job, specifically the secondary. So they decided they were going to be aggressive. Their season's on the line. They have to stay aggressive. So they decided, we're going to be throwing the ball down the field. And that's what they did. Coming out of halftime, they threw the ball down the field, got right into scoring territory, and guess what? Boom, slant pass, touchdown, T. Higgins. Now, all of a sudden, it's a 10-point game. By the way, T. Higgins is the person that scored their first touchdown. So T. Higgins at this point had 2 touchdowns in the game. All of a sudden, it's 24-14. Well, Lamar Jackson's sitting on the sideline and seeing that they're down 10. And at that point, Lamar's like, all right, time for us to ramp it up. They want to go blow for blow. They want to stop the run. They want to load the box. We're going to go with an aerial attack. That's just what we're going to do. We're just going to sit here. We're going to air this ball out. We're going to go tit for tat, toe for toe with the Bengals, and we're going to air the ball out. So Lamar Jackson, down by 10, comes on the field, leads the Ravens down the field. They score a touchdown. It was a touchdown scored by, I believe it was by Isaiah Likely. He gets that touchdown. Lamar had a beautiful pass down the field to Charlie Kolar, who was streaking in the seam. He gets them down to the goal line. Then 2 plays later, play fake, fake handoff, play action. Lamar passes it to a wide open Isaiah Likely. He gets the touchdown. Now it's 24-21. Got you. Cincinnati comes right back on the field. They go down the field again. They're moving down the field. They score another touchdown. It's now 31-21. So now the Ravens have to respond offensively. And again, Lamar was already locked in and saying, we're going to go toe for toe. So Lamar Jackson leads them down the field once again. They get into scoring position. I believe this was actually on a 92-yard drive that they got this. So he leads them down the field. Once again, they get into scoring position. Once again, at the goal line, play action, fake handoff. Lamar Jackson finds Charlie Kolar in the end zone. Touchdown Ravens. 31-28. It's back to a 3-point game. Cincinnati then gets the ball again. First play after getting this ball. Joe Burrow. Quick toss to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, swifty as ever, doesn't even get touched at this point. Takes it for 70 yards. 1 play, 70-yard touchdown. Cincinnati 38, Baltimore 28. We're at the 4th quarter at this point. Things are winding down. Baltimore cannot continue to have this happen. They keep trying to play catch up, and Lamar has to be perfect. Well, Lamar does his very damnedest to go be perfect, because he gets right back on the field, leads them right back down the field, and Lamar Jackson has the play of the year. One of the greatest plays I've ever personally seen, the play of the year. 2nd and goal, they're at the goal line, at the Bengals 7-yard line. The ball is snapped. Lamar fumbles it. He fumbles it. He picks it up. He starts running to his right because Sam Hubbard is in his face. Sam Hubbard is in his face trying to tackle him. Lamar gives him a stiff arm. He doesn't go down. He's still fighting him. Lamar gives him another stiff arm. He falls to the floor. Lamar continues to roll to his right, roll to his right, roll to his right. He's right by that sideline, and just before he falls out of bounds, he throws the ball across his body to Isaiah Likely in the end zone. Touchdown Ravens, 38-35. we have a classic here. 3-point game. Game's winding down. Cincinnati, under 5 minutes to go, have the football. They start marching down the field. They continue to roll. They're moving. Baltimore's defense can't stop a nosebleed. They get into Ravens territory. They, in fact, get into field goal range. It's a 2nd and 10. Penalty. 5-yard penalty. Now it's a 2nd and 15. Baltimore couldn't make a stop to save their lives. They just needed one play to save them. And in comes Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey at the top of the screen was matched up one-on-one against Jamar Chase. It was supposed to be a slant. That was the slant that was the play they were trying to run because they had found a lot of success running the slant against the Ravens in this game. So the ball is snapped. Joe Burrow knows he's throwing the slant to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is lined up one-on-one versus Marlon Humphrey. And Marlon Humphrey makes the defensive play of the game. He gets himself in a great position to get that ball away. And he ends up picking off Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow played a damn near perfect football game, but he gets picked off. 38-35 at this point. Interception. Just under 3 minutes to go at this point. Baltimore has a chance to go win this game. Lamar and the offense comes out there. They march down the field. They get into field goal range. They get stopped. Now, on this game-winning drive, Mark Andrews, or game-winning or game-tying drive, Mark Andrews had his face mask ripped off right in front of the officials. They didn't see it. The officials were terrible in this game because they missed a face mask on Andrews, and at the same time, they missed a blatant pass interference call on Wiggins. Wiggins was all over Jamar Chase on the 3rd down situation. That was pass interference. They didn't call it on Wiggins. The refs were just terrible in this game, but the refs are terrible damn near every week, so it is what it is. So, yeah, that happens. 3rd down, they send pressure. Lamar barely gets the ball off, but they send pressure. It interrupted the throw. Incomplete. Couldn't get it out there to Bateman in time. And now they have to settle for a 56-yard field goal. And this was huge for the Ravens. Because Tucker was having a rough start. He was having a rough start to the season, having a rough go. We were all sitting there talking about, is Tucker washed? He's missing all these field goals. Tucker needed a moment of redemption. He wanted to have a moment of redemption. And here it is. Game on the line, 56-yard field goal with the wind because it was windy in Cincinnati. So he had to predict how he was going to kick this and adjust for the wind. 56-yard field goal with the game on the line because if he misses that, game's over. Tucker beams it right through the middle. He kicked it perfectly, adjusted for the wind. He adjusted for the wind perfectly. It worked out. And the ball sails right through the middle of the pylon. Field goal made, 38-38. Cincinnati gets the ball with about a minute and a half left, just a little bit under. They have a chance to go win with a game-winning drive. Defense has to step up and make a play, and somebody else stepped up. Shout out to, that's a fumble right there. That's a fumble, but Kansas City got it back. Kansas City got it back. And that knocked them out of field goal range at the 46-yard line. And now Mahomes, he's just going to take off, pump fakes. Oh, he took a shot. Oh, that's going to be a flag, though. Is this going to be a hold? Oh, this might end Kansas City's drive. I got to see if this is a hold because they're already out of field goal range. If they get called for holding, this is going to take them back into Chiefs territory. And it is an offensive holding that will take them back into Chiefs territory. So now it's going to be, what, a 1st and 35? This drive might be over. Unless they get a penalty. This drive might be over. Anyway, shout out to Nnamdi Madubuike. 1st down. He gets to Burrow and just drops him. Makes it a 2nd and 17. They throw the ball. Incomplete. Nice play by Nate Wiggins to knock it out of T. Higgins' hands. 3rd and 17. They just ran the ball. And they just killed the clock and sent it into overtime. Dang, 2nd and 34 for the Chiefs. At this point, you don't give any reason. They're running a screen now, but there's no way Juju gets us on the screen. But yeah, Nnamdi Madubuike sacks Burrow on 1st down, and that pretty much ends that drive there. So we headed to overtime. It's 38-38. Again, a lot is on the line for both sides. Ravens win the toss. They get the ball first. Lamar and the offense, they're marching down the field. Methodical drive. Looking great. They get into Bengals territory. 1st and 10. Lamar got his hands out. He's calling for the ball. At the last second, Lamar looks up to check on the defense. Ball gets snapped. He fumbles the ball. Ball gets snapped. Oh, they're doing a trick play to get the first down. He doesn't get it. Oh, he's close. Nah, he's not going to get it. You got to go for this. How did you let them pick up so many yards on 3rd and 22? Did he get this first down? Did he get... Bro, the Chiefs keep running these trick plays, and nobody's ever ready for it. That's a first down. That's a first down, maybe. If not, it's a 4th down play. You go for it if you're the Chiefs. On 3rd and 22, he picks up 21. If you're the Saints and you don't stop him on 4th and 1, you got to be ashamed of yourselves. It was set. Bro, it was 1st and 34. How do you give up 33 yards in 3 plays? Y'all are sorry. Anyway, Lamar's looking like this. He's got his hands out. Just before the ball snapped, he looked up because he noticed something last second from the defense. He saw something there. Looked up for just a second. Ball gets snapped, hits him, fumbles the ball right there. Cincinnati picks up. They recover inside Ravens territory. A mental mistake by Lamar Jackson. And that's on him. I don't care what's happening. You're on the road. You know the stadium's rocking this loud. The play clock's winding down. You are calling for the ball. I get you saw something last second on the defense, but if you've called for the ball already, you got to focus and get that snap. Because at that point, you could cause a turnover if your attention and focus is not there 100%. If the play's broken down already, Lamar, get the snap, cradle the ball, fall down, cradle the ball, take off, go pick up some yards. Oh, the Saints couldn't make a stop on 4th down. Yeah, Saints are done. Saints are done. Stop wasting our time with this game. But yeah, Lamar fumbled the ball, and that was on him. It was on him. So the Chiefs, not the Chiefs, wow. The Bengals, it's tough to make a recap and then look at this. But the Bengals get life. They get an opportunity in overtime to be able to win this with a game-winning field goal. This is where you got to look at Zach Taylor, and you got to say Zach Taylor cost him the game. Listen, I understand, and I'm not taking away from it. I put some blame on Burrow himself because if he doesn't do what he did, the Ravens are done. They don't have a chance to come back and tie the game. That pick changed everything. I get it. But the way Zach Taylor responded was just ignorant. They get the ball in overtime, in Ravens territory, in field goal range, and instead of testing out this secondary that was getting cooked left and right, he instead decided, I'm going to run the ball 3 straight times. I'm going to take the ball to Joe Burrow's hands. I'm going to run it 3 straight times. I'm going to set it up for a field goal. The Ravens secondary couldn't cover a nosebleed. They couldn't make a tackle to save their lives. Jamar Chase was cooking everybody. T. Higgins was cooking everybody. And instead of giving them the ball and letting them go dominate, Zach Taylor decided to run the ball 3 straight times. Was he that in fear that Burrow was going to throw another pick? That he didn't trust his quarterback? You didn't trust your franchise quarterback to throw the ball because he made one mistake in overtime? When he has 5 touchdowns in nearly 400 yards passing, you don't trust him in overtime to throw the football. All right. That's cool. Whatever. It's not my choice. So they run the ball 3 straight times. They give McPherson a chance to kick the game-winning field goal. And due to you making that type of conservative play calling, you pay for it. The ball is snapped. They had a rookie guy. They had a rookie snapper. I want to be very clear on this. They had a rookie snapper. Not a rookie snapper. A rookie holder. The guy holding the ball was a rookie. I think it was some undrafted rookie or something. But the guy holding the ball was an undrafted rookie or something. The ball is snapped. The holder catches it. He immediately messes up the hole because he catches it, drops the football sideways, and fixes the ball up last second. Now, here's the problem with that. When you are a holder, you have to do it's about timing. Everything has to be timed perfectly because the kicker is not about to just stop himself from kicking. He is going full throttle to kick within the rhythm. He's supposed to be able to kick within rhythm. And whenever you're kicking, the holder, it's fundamentals. You catch the ball, you place the ball, you move the ball. Laces have to be out on the football. You always have to have laces out. He messed up step 2. He caught the football, but he messed up step 2 because he dropped it. Then he had to fix himself to regain step 2. He never got to step 3 to fix the laces. Laces needed to be out. It's catch, hold, laces out. That's what you do for a field goal. So because he never got to complete the three-step process, McPherson kicked the ball. It just drifted to the left. It's not McPherson's fault. It's not McPherson's fault at all. The rookie holder messed up so badly. I don't know if McPherson makes that kick. I would assume he does. But I don't know if he gets it done. We'll never know because the holder messed up. The holder messed up. And that pretty much ended it right there. Baltimore had one last chance. They got life because of the missed field goal. And thanks to that missed field goal, one last chance, one last opportunity. What do the Ravens do? They return to the guy they just brought to Baltimore to hopefully change life for them. Derrick Henry. 12 personnel, I formation. Lamar tosses to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry takes it 51 yards. Gets stopped around the 7 or 6 yard line. Basically puts them into chip shot field goal range. Ravens don't waste any more time. They get Justin Tucker out there. He kicks the game-winning field goal. Baltimore wins 3 straight. They go to 3-2. Meanwhile, Cincinnati loses and they drop to 1-4. In this game, Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow were damn near flawless. Some of the best football we had seen all season from any quarterback. This was a fantastic quarterback battle. Lamar and Joe Burrow showcase why both of them are 2 of the big 4 in the league. They are just that damn special. Lamar, 26 of 42, 348 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interception, passer rating of 119. Joe Burrow, 30 of 39, 392, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, a passer rating 137. Both quarterbacks were fantastic. Lamar also had 12 carries for 55 rushing yards. Derrick Henry in this game, 15 carries, 91 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Overall, the Ravens rushed for 175 yards in this game. Meanwhile, for Cincinnati, Chase Brown had 46 rushing yards. Zach Moss had 24. They only had a total of 71 rushing yards. In the receiving game, everybody was putting up numbers here. Zay Flowers, 7 catches, 111 yards for him. Charlie Kolar, 3 catches, 64 yards and a touchdown. Bateman, 4 catches, 58 yards, a touchdown. Mark Andrews getting back into this, 4 catches for 55 yards. You had Tyler Wallace that came in and made 2 great catches, 2 catches for 31 yards. Those were some clutch catches by Tyler Wallace. Likely didn't get much going in the yards game, but he had 2 receiving touchdowns. So, yeah, the passing game was great for everybody, and we saw a lot of it. Meanwhile, for the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase cooked. Absolutely beautiful. 10 catches, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins, 9 catches, 83 yards, touchdown. Like, these guys were just cooking. Your best players were cooking. Joe Burrow looked great. Jamar Chase looked great. T. Higgins looked great. Your playmakers looked great. Your quarterback looked great. Everything was great. It's just, at the end of the day, mistakes in certain situations cost you the game. Now, this was an offensive shooting. This was an offensive shootout. No defense showed up. The Ravens defense got cooked. The Bengals defense got cooked. It was an embarrassing defensive display. That's all that needed to be said. It was an embarrassing defensive display. But at the end of the day, somebody had to win, and luckily for the Ravens, and unfortunately for the Bengals, the Ravens came out victorious. So, the Ravens now sit at 3-2 in the season, and thanks to the loss of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Ravens now are tied for first place in the AFC North. And in fact, they are considered first place in the AFC North because they have the tiebreaker. They have won a divisional game. The Steelers have not played a divisional game yet. So now the Ravens have officially claimed first place in the AFC North 5 weeks into the season. We talked about this. Sitting at 0-2 after the Raiders lost, we pulled up the gauntlet and said, these next 3 games, you've got to win. These next 3 games, you've got to win. Cowboys, Bills, Bengals. They won all 3. And now they're sitting here, first place in the AFC North. Meanwhile, for Cincinnati, they're 1-4. They're 1-4, and things are looking bleak. However, for Cincinnati, I think it's a different situation. Unlike Cleveland, where things feel done, it feels like their season's over, I don't think Cincinnati's season's over. I don't. I'm looking at Cincinnati's schedule right now. This is not a schedule that I would look at and say season's over. They've got the Giants next week. They've got the Giants, then the Browns, then the Eagles, then the Raiders. In fact, let me name their non-divisional matchups because they have 5 more divisional games and 7 non-divisional matchups. The Giants, the Eagles, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Broncos. That is not the most difficult schedule you can get. I'm going to be very honest. That's not the most difficult schedule. Of these 7 games I'm seeing here that they play, these 7 non-divisional games, I think Cincinnati can win at least 5 of those. I think they can win 5. The only 2 games I could see the Cincinnati Bengals potentially losing is the Eagles and maybe the Cowboys. That's it. But Cincinnati's schedule is not difficult. They've got a lot of games I expect them to win. I think they're going to win 5 of these 7 non-divisional games, which will put the Bengals at 6 wins on the season, which leads you to the divisional matchups. You've got 5 divisional games left. You've already lost this one against the Ravens. You've got 5 divisional games left. Cincinnati has to win 4 of these final divisional matchups. So, whether they beat Baltimore once and then try to beat go 3-1 against the others, or they sweep the others but get swept by the Ravens, or however they do it, or maybe they win all 5 of their remaining divisional games. Cincinnati has to win 4 of their final 5 divisional matchups. If Cincinnati can win 5 of those 7 non-divisional matchups, and they can win 4 of their final 5 divisional matchups, then I personally believe that will put them in the playoffs at 10-7. The season's not over for Cincinnati. But at the end of the day, they have to be able to win some of these non-divisional games. I'm going to keep it a beam for the most part. Based on how things are going, I think it's possible that by the next time we see the Bengals at Baltimore for that Thursday night game, it's possible the Bengals could be sitting here at 5-4, and everybody would be shutting up about them being done. There's a possibility they beat the Giants, the Browns, the Eagles, and the Raiders. It's possible. If they go win 4 straight and come to Baltimore with a 5-4 record, that's an entirely different conversation. But if somehow they would lose multiple of those games and they come to Baltimore with 6 losses, now we're having a different conversation. So I think the margin of error for Cincinnati right now is incredibly low. But I think Cincinnati can do this. Now, the easy part is to win the non-divisional games. The hard part is to win the divisional games. And this is something that has to be said under Joe Burrow, too. Joe Burrow has a losing record in the AFC North. Joe Burrow has a losing record. I'm going to pull up the records right now. I'm going to pull up the records for each one of these. Because Joe Burrow has a losing record against the Ravens. I mean, not against the Ravens, against the AFC North. Wow, the Saints are going to give the Chiefs the ball one more time just to make sure they make this highly extended lead. It's 13-7. I expect it to be 16-7 or 20-7 before halftime because the Saints are just embarrassing themselves at this point. All right, here we go. So Joe Burrow's record against the AFC North isn't the best. Now, I'll say this. Joe Burrow, I'm going to write this down so we have a totality because I want to write this down and see how it is. Joe Burrow versus the Steelers, he's played 5 games against the Steelers since he's been drafted. He has a 3-2 record against the Steelers. Joe Burrow, his record versus the Ravens. He has played 8 games against the Baltimore Ravens. He has a record of 3-5. So he has a record of 3-5. Now, of course, this is going to count the playoff game. I'm not taking away the playoff game. We're just talking, of course, in some of these games, Lamar didn't even play, but you do have to count the playoff game. So, including the playoff game, Joe Burrow is 3-5 against the Ravens. He's 3-2 against the Steelers. He's 3-5 against the Ravens. And here comes the craziest part. And I honestly do not know how to describe it. I honestly do not know how to describe it. I don't even know what to say about this one. Joe Burrow against the Cleveland Browns is 1-5. Joe Burrow against the Cleveland Browns is 1-5. So, in the division, against the AFC North, Joe Burrow has a whopping 7-12 record. Against AFC North opponents in his career, he's 7-12. So I think the most difficult aspect of this for the Bengals, if they want to get back into the season, it has to be winning those divisional games. The non-divisional games, I expect them to win 5 of those 7 games. But when it comes to the divisional games, they have to win 4 of the final 5. And that's going to be incredibly tough to do. For a team that has a 7-12 record against the, for a guy and a team that has a 7-12 divisional record when that quarterback starts for you against the division, that's not good, man. 7-12 against the AFC North. That's Joe Burrow's record. 7-12 against the AFC North. That showcases that it's going to be a very difficult, and a tall task to be able to win a majority of those divisional games. But with Joe Burrow there, healthy, with Jamar Chase there, healthy, with T. Higgins there, healthy, I still think it's possible they could potentially pull this off. Will it be easy? No, but the possibility is there. And we'll just have to wait and see. So with all that being said, the Ravens got the win. They go to 3-2. The Bengals got the loss, unfortunately for them. They go to 1-4, and they are going to travel to New York next week to face off against the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Meanwhile, Baltimore, they're heading back to the bank. It's time for our... When's the last time we've had this? It's been 4 years. We do this every 4 years. 2020 was the last time. So it's time for our quarterly matchup. It's time for our quarterly matchup, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Beltway Bowl. We got the Washington Commanders coming down to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens versus Commanders. A battle of the Beltways. That's going to be a fun one. Cannot wait to see how that's going to go. Anyway, that's it for the Week 5 State of the AFC North address. Nothing else to talk about. Steelers take the L on Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys. Browns get embarrassed by the Commanders. Ravens and Bengals go at it at an AFC North Classic, game of the year type situation. One of the best performances we've seen in NFL history. Just a complete, amazing quarterback battle that came down to the wire in OT. Ravens got the win. Bengals suffer a heartbreaking loss. Ravens now 3-2, tied for first place in the AFC North, but they do have the tiebreaker, so they are first in the AFC North. Steelers losing 2 straight games. They're now second in the AFC North. Cincinnati at 1-4 is third in the AFC North. Cleveland at 1-4 is fourth in the AFC North. And that is pretty much how things look off. So that ends Week 5 of the State of the North address, or State of the AFC North address. And before I head on out, as Travis Kelce proceeds to just cross over a dude, and they're going to score a touchdown here, or at least get a field goal out of this. But as I proceed to wrap this up, I'm going to look at some of your comments, and we will head on out. So yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Finally got a notification for your live streams. Yeah, man, I don't know. YouTube be doing what they do. The Chiefs are going to clap New Orleans 100-0. That's hilarious. I have to get surgery in my neck next week from an old football injury from 2017. Best of luck with that, man. Best of luck with that. Hopefully it goes well. Salute, Ravens only AFC North team that won yesterday. Fantastic. You couldn't have asked for a better Sunday if you're a Ravens fan. Yeah, man, sports be like that sometimes. Oh, yeah, just be like that, man. Just hopefully, glad it seems like he's okay. Hopefully the surgery goes well for him for the most part. Derek Carr always starts that way, then he regresses. It's always been like that for Derek Carr, no matter what team he's been on. Hey. Carr is the worst quarterback in the NFL. That's not true. Deshaun Watson might be having that case right now. He's playing some awful football. Carr falling against early interceptions there. It was pretty much that. Stefanski says we're not changing quarterbacks. Hot seat for him or not? No, because at the end of the day, Stefanski is not the one making that call. Stefanski didn't choose to have Deshaun Watson continue to stay there. That was not a Stefanski call. Him sticking with Deshaun Watson is not his choice. That's the owner's choice. They're paying him $250 million guaranteed. When you pay a quarterback $250 million guaranteed, like the Browns have done, you play him no matter how bad he is. You don't have a choice but to play him. And if you got to cut him, you cut him. But right now, you got to play him. You don't got a choice. All right, they stayed counting us out. First, it was we were not going to beat the Bengals because all the weapons. Then it was we wasn't going to beat the Cardinals because of Marvin Harris. Then it was the vaunted Browns defense. Again, be happy for what it is, but you take it week to week. I'm telling you, bro, take this week to week. Please do not be dumb. Do not be dumb. Do not fit the typical fan standards. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm begging you not to do that, Simple. Because I always say this about every team. I say this about every team. People will sit back. Why do you Bengals fans will be like, why y'all coming up on us for being arrogant and cocky? Oh man, Bengals fans are insufferable. And they're so arrogant. Yeah, because their team's a Super Bowl contending team that went to a Super Bowl. Oh man, the Chiefs fans, they're so insufferable. They're the worst fans in the league because they're a dynasty. Y'all keep talking about how all these fan bases are bad. Meanwhile, y'all talk about these other fan bases that are so humble because their teams are bad. Ah man, the Detroit Lions, their fan base is so humble because they were trash. Do you see how the Lions fan base is looking now that they actually have a good team? Do you see now how the Lions fans can be arrogant at times? I remember last year people would talk about how the Lions fans were insufferable because of how well they were playing. And people were like, y'all haven't won anything. What y'all being so arrogant for? That's how fans are. Please, please do not do that. For some reason, that's how fans are. Anytime their team starts having success, they want to get cocky. Then when their team loses, they want to get all silent. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's been a great start to the season for the Commanders. We continue to hope they build on it, but please do not start getting arrogant and cocky and assuming that this team is just world beaters after 5 games. There's plenty of football left to play. They are not world beaters after 5 games. They are playing some great football. You got to give credit to Jaden Daniels for how well he's been playing. Give credit to Dan Quinn for how well he's coaching this team. Give credit to the defense for improving on some certain aspects. Give credit to his name is escaping me right now. Why is his name escaping me right now? Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. Thank you. I was thinking about that. Thank you. Why am I saying thank you? I'm telling thank you to myself. I just thought about it. No one said it in the comments yet. But yeah, well actually I don't know if anyone said it in the comments. I'm all the way at top here reading the comments here. But yeah, thank you, Brain. Cliff Kingsbury, got to give him credit for what he's been doing with this offense. Give him credit. They're playing well. They're doing well. And we hope they keep it up. But please don't get arrogant. Because if you get arrogant, somebody's going to come out there and humble you. I can't wait to see Bobby Wagner manhandle Derrick Henry. I wish you the best of luck on that. I truly wish you the best of luck on that if you think Bobby Wagner is going to manhandle Derrick Henry. If you want to say I can't wait to see that battle between Bobby Wagner and Derrick Henry, by all means. But if you think Bobby Wagner is going to manhandle Derrick Henry, I wish you the best of luck in that one. This will be an easy win for Kansas City. They're up 16-7. I wouldn't say an easy win, but it'll be a win. That stiff arm to Sam Hubbard was all sorts of disrespectful. It was funny. Deshaun sucks, but the entire Browns team just finds ways to play bad football. They're not a good football team right now. Fields isn't asked to do much, but he isn't turning the ball over. That's all you can ask with that defense. Yeah, he's doing what they need him to do. That's all you can ask for. Even though we're winning on a winning streak, sounds like you're not as excited because you know we're an instant 12-win team when healthy. You want to see the January Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, there's nothing to be excited about. We beat the Bengals. We won 3 straight games, but the only game where the Ravens have looked impressive was against the Bills, and the Bills don't have any made weapons. The defense is still terrible. I like the offense. I think the offense is great and they continue to improve. I think there's still some issues left and right. I still want to see more from this offensive line because it feels at times they're shaky. But through these last 3 weeks, the offensive line has done a relatively good job. I just feel like I need to see more consistency as the season goes on. So I still have questions about the offensive line. The offense is playing well. Todd Monken's done a decent job. He's done a pretty good job over the last 3 weeks in terms of the play calling. Lamar's been great. Derrick Henry's been great. We expect those guys to be great. The offense is putting up points. Again, we expected that to be the case. But I still have some questions about the offensive line. And then defensively, there's nothing good to look at the defense. Other than the run defense, I guess you could say that. Run defense has been good. Pass rush has been pretty decent. But the pass defense is garbage. They're terrible. Why should I be sitting here celebrating? I know this team's going to win somewhere between 10 to 13 games. I expect it at this point. But there's nothing to be happy about if your defense is giving up 38 points. I mean, they gave up 38 points here. They nearly blew a 22-point lead against the Cowboys. This defense has been bad. The defense has put together one good game, and that was against the Bills. And right now, with the way the Bills are playing, people are not questioning their legitimacy. So, no, there's nothing to be happy about. And again, Harbaugh's still doing the same idiotic things with his decision-making, and there's times where this team's still not disciplined. So, no, there's still major flaws and issues with the Ravens. And because it's there, it's hard for me to sit back and get overly excited when I know how this could ultimately end if they don't get their crap together. Y'all can say whatever you want about Watson. At least he won a playoff game, unlike Carr. Told you Carr is trash, worst quarterback in the NFL. He's not, but you can keep saying that. The Browns might try to trade Amari Cooper. That might be a potential aspect, but I don't think they're going to, though. We'll see. We'll see. Harbaugh with his daily CTE moment with that timeout. It was such a dumb decision. That screen pass was so infuriating. Yeah, we're gonna do our because I couldn't do it today. I had to do the AFC North address. If the Steelers would have beaten the Cowboys, I wouldn't have done the State of the North address today. I would have just done it tomorrow because at that point, nothing has really majorly changed in the division. But because the Cowboys lost, now the Ravens in the AFC North, we got to talk about that. If the Steelers still first place, we just save that for tomorrow because there's no major change-up. Everything will be similar to last week. But yeah, but when it comes to the state of when it comes to the therapy session, that's what I was trying to say. When it comes to the therapy session for the Ravens, Week 5 therapy session, I'll have to talk about the Ravens defense because there's been guys that have been pissing me off there. Marcus Williams needs to be discussed, and we'll have a talk about him. Yeah, I'm guessing he didn't want any errors, and the kicker usually makes those kicks, I guess, but I'm not taking the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands when he has nearly 400 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. That's just crazy. The play was over from the moment the snap. The long snapper hiked it very high, and then he dropped the. Yeah, that was a whole terrible execution by everybody there. McPherson never had a shot to make that kick. NFL needs to never have a Cincy Ravens game at 1 as long as LG and Burrow are healthy. They put up classics. That's true, but they can't put both games on primetime. They know every time Lamar and Burrow meet up, they at least try to give them one primetime game. Last year, it was the same. We had one game at 1 p.m. and the other game was on primetime. This year, we have one game at 1 p.m. and the other game is going to be on Thursday Night Football. They can't put both games on primetime. They just can't. So at least one of those will be on primetime, which thankfully I'll take. Higgins and Chase took turns cooking the secondary? Absolutely. Off topic, but you watching that new Penguin series on HBO? I have not watched it yet. I have not watched it. Can Cincy beat Pittsburgh? Yes, they have the weapons to beat Pittsburgh. They absolutely have the weapons to beat Pittsburgh. But again, defensively, I don't trust Cincinnati, and we have to see how well. If that Steelers defense plays elite and shuts down those weapons, Cincinnati's in trouble because their defense isn't good enough to be able to make stops on a consistent basis. And with the way Justin Fields has been playing clean, they'll find a way to squeak by and win a game. So you got to be careful with that. It's still any given Sunday, but since he can't afford to drop more games, that is true. Ravens versus Commanders will be a stressful game. I mean, for you guys, not for me. Ravens versus Commanders will not be a stressful game for me. I can't wait to have my recap. Not my recap. I can't wait to talk about my preview, and I can't wait for the game. It's going to be the first game I'm not going to be stressed out in a long time. Do you think the Browns will bench Watson? I think at some point the conversation will come out, but I don't think they're going to. I don't think they can. You paid him $250 million. You're dedicated to him now. You can't bench him at this point. It's that type of situation. You have to play him. You gave him $250 million guaranteed. You have to play him. Even if you guys end up winning 3 or 4 games this season, you have to play him. You don't have a choice. You can't bench him. You can try to get rid of him afterwards, but you can't bench him. You just can't. Marcus Williams equals invisible, man. With the way he's been playing, I didn't even know that I didn't notice he was out there doing anything. And then you look at the highlights, and you're like, oh yeah, he wasn't doing anything. He was just getting cooked. He was just standing there. Marcus Williams has not been good at all. I hope he can correct it. All we can do is hope he can correct it. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Anyway, guys, this has been the Week 5 State of the AFC North address. We talked about all 4 teams. We've spoken on the games. And right now, the division is heating up. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are now neck and neck for the division. Cincinnati and Cleveland are looking at the bottom of the division, trying to get back into the season. And we just got to see how things are going to go. Ravens take on the Commanders next. The Bengals take on the Giants next. The Browns take on the let's see who the Browns take on. I know Steelers take on. No, the Browns take on the Raiders next. Sorry, the Browns take on the Raiders next, and the Steelers take on. No, the Steelers take on the Raiders next, and the Browns take on who? Let me take a look at this real quick. Let me see this. Yeah, the Steelers, they take on the Raiders next, and I think the Browns. Who are they taking on next? The Cleveland Browns, they take on the Eagles. Oh, the Eagles next. So, yeah. The Ravens got Commanders. Bengals got... What the heck was that? Yeah, Ravens got Commanders. Bengals got Giants. Browns got Eagles. And Steelers got Raiders. So we'll see how things go next week. If there's a shakeup, we'll be here to discuss it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end the discussion here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys stopping by for the State of the AFC North address. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have our Week 5 therapy session. I think Ravens Flock needs a bit of a therapy session after that game. Because we won, but man, that was a stressful game. That was an emotional game, and a lot of people have to air some grievances out. So I'll have the therapy session tomorrow, and we will go from there. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That's all I've got for you guys. Make sure to stay safe, and peace out.